Good evening and welcome to this edition of 27 Minutes here on WJTS UPN 27. The annual WBDC Many's True Value Country Music Showdown was held last night at the Jasper Arts Center. The winner of this year's event was Jason Mann of Mount Vernon.
Recession ain't too warm. The city's growing around him, but daddy won't settle long. You can roll around up a hill that's steep. You can pull roots when they run that deep. He's gonna live and die in the eye of the turbulent storm. See, daddy won't settle. Bought these little trees. He raised his corn in a big red barn in a healthy family. He learned to love the woodland, and it's there to do him wrong. There's concrete all around him, but daddy won't settle long. You can roll around up a hill that's steep. You can't pull roots when they run that deep. He's gonna live and die in the eye of the turbulent storm. See, daddy won't settle long. One day he's gonna leave it on me, and a storm on the branch of the family tree. He'll leave a message written on the roof of the barn. Daddy won't settle long. You can go around up a hill that's steep. You can't pull roots when they run that deep. He's gonna live and die in the eye of the turbulent storm. See, daddy won't settle long. Live and die in the eye of the turbulent storm. See, daddy won't settle long. You know country boy is right.
My performance tonight, it's been a while since I've performed, and I was kind of nervous coming in. I wasn't familiar with any of the contestants. I've never been up against any of them, so it was definitely a new experience coming in here, and I've never competed in an Indiana showdown either, so it was a very enjoyable experience tonight. I felt real comfortable. I was about an hour and a half from home, and everyone treated me like I was a local yokel here, so I really had a good time tonight.
Talk about how your preparations went for tonight, and just how you got ready to compete.
Well, a couple of the songs, the fast ones I done, I was familiar with, but when I entered the contest, I found a song by Clay Davidson called "Unconditional," and it really hit home. You know, it was a good song and good lyrics, and I just went and put the songs down on tape, and I'd already qualified for the contest, so I was kind of excited to get over here and finally get to performing with the band, and just really enjoyed it.
We will air the showdown in its entirety on June 18th at 1 p.m. Stay tuned. We'll have more 27 Minutes right after this. Yep. It's now time for today's homeowner, brought to you by Kremp Lumber Company in Jasper.
Container gardening can add a great look to your patio or rear deck.
And Danny, there are several rules that you need to follow, and the #1 container gardening rule is that you must always have drainage in the bottom of the pot. That means a hole in the pot. And when I tell people that, they say, oh, how do I keep the soil from coming out? And you use screen, and you can get this at the hardware store, cut it into squares, and cover the holes at the bottom of the pot, and then pour your soil in. Now, that takes us to step 2. Don't ever use soil out of your garden. Get a prepared soil so that it's disease-free and insect-free. And fill your pot up, and then you want to plant your plants at the same level at which they were growing in their own pots. So you put this in, firm the soil around it, and then the final touch is to add a fertilizer. And a time-release fertilizer around the surface of the soil will keep those plants looking great for the whole season.
Earlier this week, Tony Frick attended the Time Out for Business at the Dubois County Museum to research the history of woodworking here in Dubois County.
Jasper Chamber of Commerce, the French Lick Winery, and the Dubois County Museum Incorporated were sponsors of a Time Out from Business. The open house showcased the museum's exhibit, The Woodworking Industry, with its many tools and early furniture pieces crafted by artisans who shaped the county's future.
Tastes like cherry pie.
Museum volunteer and researcher Mike Klimper compiled the history as part of his master thesis project at IU Southeast. He wanted his thesis efforts to relate to local history and discovered that research of the woodworking history in Dubois County was lacking.
Parts of it have been researched, but there hasn't been any compilation of the whole history of the woodworking industry here in Dubois County.
Okay, in summary, what did you basically find out about the history?
Well, many people often comment that a lot of the woodworking history here is due to our German roots, and I just wanted to see if that was really true or how much basis there was to that fact. And in doing the research through the Jasper Couriers and then through the census records and checking out the immigration records and the birth rates or birth origins of the different workers and the occupations that those different workers held, I found that, yes, the high percentage of people that were in the woodworking industry were German, ethnic German, and that was a very interesting thing to come up with. So either the people that came from Germany directly were part of the history and the founding people in the industry here, or their children were.
Not all companies had family origins.
Somewhat family-oriented businesses, but they generally from the Alice Brothers Furniture Company, which was the first furniture factory. That became the Jasper Furniture Company, which is now Jasper Desk. That was family-owned by the Alice family initially, and then it became a stock company. And most of the other companies that started here, other than the sawmill industries, the furniture factories were all stock companies from the start pretty well.
The river and the railroad were important elements of that county history.
He was one of the people that rafted logs down to the veneer mills here in Jasper. Farmers would cut logs in the spring and in the fall, and in the winter when they weren't farming, and whenever the rains would come, they would take the logs down to the river and chain them together with chain dogs and basically make a raft out of it. Out of a lot of them, they'd usually have 50 logs or so in a raft, and when the rains would come in the spring and the water level would rise, then they would hop aboard and come downstream.
Products get shipped out back then.
Well, there was not really a wood furniture industry here until after the railroad went through. It was not possible to ship major quantities out of here. The roads were abominable. There wasn't good transportation in or out until the railroad got here. The Jasper Furniture Company was the first office furniture company, not necessarily just the wood office furniture. And Jasper desks, the roll-top desks in specific, there was a large number of places where those things were sent to. And you can find records that, carloads were shipped to Scotland, to Edinburgh, carloads were shipped to Arkansas, carloads to Missouri. They were shipped all over the country, all over the world. Yeah, the development of the industry became really strong after the railroad went through. And if you, on the wall here in the display is a chart of the factory histories in town, going down to and including some of these sawmills that were around through the development of the industry. And the period from like 1870 on until the 90s was quite big in the number of companies, and then again through the early 1900s up until 1920 there were a lot of companies that developed, and the ones that developed in the teens and just before that, most of those were third generation immigrant, and that was the last big boom that hit before the Depression. And Jasper was able to survive the Depression largely unscathed because of the diversification of so many of the people.
Work that people don't see until they see the end results. Was it worth it?
Yeah, it was definitely worth it. I think that by starting a thesis project that was supposed to take 6 months or so, I've opened up about 25 years worth of work for myself.
Tony Frick, TV 27 News.
We will be back with our education feature for this week, so please stay with us. Tonight we continue our look at area schools. This week it's the Southeast Dubois County School Corporation with Superintendent Bill Roll.
For Southeast Dubois County School Corporation Superintendent Bill Rowe, looking to the future means exploring athletic facility needs. A design proposal and preliminary estimates were worked up as a University of Evansville student engineering project and presented to the Outdoor Athletic Facility Committee. Superintendent Rowe spoke to us about that upcoming project.
They've been working on coming up with some sort of a master plan as to just what could be done. Overall project, when they put the numbers to it, it turns out to be a little over $2 million project. And of course, you know, we've known for a couple of years that we definitely are going to have to do something to our outdoor track. The years and the weather has really taken a toll on it. So that kind of perpetuated us to look at an overall master plan. We'd be looking to eventually add a girls softball field in and around where the baseball field is right now, to put maybe an 8-lane track in to kind of flatten out the soccer field. It's a pretty big project, and it's something that'll probably be down the road, but just how soon or how long it's going to take to implement that would depend a lot on if the funding can be put together for it.
Funding considerations include looking for available grants as well as an endowment fund.
Recently the board established an endowment fund where that, you know, money could be left to the corporation for whatever purpose, but primarily it was thought that maybe they could be some money that could be raised in that manner. The endowment would primarily be associated with say if, at the time of will writing, someone might want to include a facility such as that in their will. That would be an approach. Or secondly, of course, there might be even some industry that would want to, end of the year tax write-offs and so forth. That would also be something that would be considered. So,
besides the athletic facility needs, Superintendent Rowe noted he still has an eye open for available space near the high school for an administration building, having outgrown the home space of the current building. He also continues to monitor other growth needs.
Constantly monitoring our enrollment, because if the enrollment starts increasing, especially at the elementary level, we may just not have enough classroom space to accommodate them. So we're constantly looking at that, but there's nothing major in the plans at this point to move any further toward expansions of walls and things like that. But again, it's something though that we're always very mindful of, and also constantly looking at upgrading our technology. And by doing a little, each year, we feel like that we can pretty much stay, maybe not giant leaps ahead, but small steps ahead of, that whole technology. It's expensive to keep up with it, but we feel like that we may be out just a little bit out in front with what we do. And
Superintendent Rowe remains excited about school accomplishments as well.
To do extremely well on statewide testing. We have very, very good attendance in all of our schools. We have 3 of the 4 schools in the corporation that are 4-star schools, which means they're in the top 25% of the schools in the state of Indiana. There's just, I think we've got a dedicated staff that really understands kids and things like that. And so when you put that all together, it pretty much spells success.
His 10 years of experience has shown him the vital importance of strong parent support, with parents taking an active part in the student's education.
That our success has been based on that. And I just really encourage, parents and grandparents and, community members and so forth to stay behind the kids and really give them all the support that they can possibly get. Give them all the encouragement that they possibly could get, because, support and encouragement, has nothing but success that goes along with it. And honestly, I think that's why that we are the school corporation that we are, is because we've had this wonderful support. Our staff, they have no hesitations about getting in touch with parents, because they know that the parents are going to listen and maybe even give us ideas as to how they can, handle a situation, or just what kind of approach you might take if someone's falling behind a little bit in their subject matter. It's just a total cooperative effort, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we've had going, and if we can just keep that up, in the years ahead, we're still going to be a good quality school.
The Jasper Wildcats still alive in the baseball tournament. We're back to look at their first round game against Vincennes-Lincoln after this. In sports, Jasper Wildcats will play Washington tomorrow in the 3A baseball sectional semifinals at Rookser Field. On Monday, the Wildcats turn back Vincennes-Lincoln in the opener. The Wildcats started sectional play by hosting arch rival Vincennes-Lincoln at Rookser Field. The Wildcats scored 3 runs in the very first inning after 2 straight Lincoln errors to start the contest. Neil Giesler hit a 2 RBI double. A couple of batters later, Brandon John hit a ball off pitcher Mitch Prout's leg that bounced behind first base. That scored a run. The Cats got 2 more in the second. Giesler again came through with a great at bat that resulted in a 2 RBI single. single. The Wildcats came through with 2 more in the bottom of the 5th inning as the Wildcats took advantage of 2 more Alice errors on stolen base attempts. Phil Schwank was sharp on the mound. He went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits while striking out 7 to get his 8th win of the season. Mark Seger pitched the 7th. Once again, the Wildcats beat Vincennes Lincoln 7-1. Jasper and Washington can be seen coming up on Sunday at 1 here on UPN 27. Right after that, hopefully a championship game with the Wildcats. Also tomorrow, Forest Park will be in the championship of the 2A sectional at League Stadium against South Spencer, and semifinal action continues tonight at Northeast Dubois when the Jeeps take on West Washington. This has been a UPN 27 production of 27 Minutes for the entire crew. I'm Kurt Gutsgell. Have a great weekend.